All right, so next we're getting into reflections. A reflection of a graph creates a mirror image in a line called the line of reflection. Reflections do not change the shape, just the orientation. So again, the orientation means like flip. Okay, so it might flip up and down, which would be vertically, or it might flip left and right, which would be horizontally. So this part's confusing. When the output of a function is multiplied by -1, then y equals minus f of x, causing a reflection over the x-axis. Okay, so I want you to think about our axis here. If it's the x-axis and something is flipping over the x-axis, it's actually flipping up and down, which means it's a vertical reflection. Okay, so if it's flipping over the x-axis, it's an up and down flip, which means the negative is in front of the f of x. If you have the negative inside by the x, okay, that means it's flipping over the y-axis. So that's like, if I have it here, it would flip to be over here, okay? But be careful, when you're flipping over the y-axis, you're flipping left and right. So a left and right reflection is actually horizontal, which is why the negative is with the x. So a left and right flip, even though it's over the y-axis, is a horizontal flip, which is why the negative is with the x. All right, so we're going to try this. You guys have a graph on your sheet?
Not the table.
Not the table, that's okay. So what we're going to do here is let's record the points for each of these. So point A was at -4 and -2 for the y value.
Let's write this stuff down.
Yes. Point B was at -2 and -2. So we're just going to go through and make a table of values for the points that were given. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to change the y values negative. So remember that f of x is y. So if I put the negative in front of the f of x, that means my y values are going to be negative. So on this first one though, if I make it a minus or a negative -2, it's actually going to change to be a +2. If I have, again, a negative -2, it's going to be a +2. A negative -5 is going to be a +5. A -3, -3. And 0, when you change it negative, is still 0. So now when I've changed my y values negative, the signs will flip. So now we're going to plot those. So my first point was -4, but now it's with +2. So -4 and +2. So it's now going to be up there. Point B is at -2 and +2. Point C is at 0 and +5. And we'll continue with the other points. All right, so again, this was flipped vertically. So all of your points ended up moving up and down when you change your y's negative. Now we're going to try changing the x's to negative. But before we do that, let's again write down all of our original points. So at -4, we were at -2, -2 and -2. Okay, now this time, we're going to make our x's negative. So the new function will be f of -x. So again, if I make my x's negative, that's going to reflect it in a different way. So I'm going to change my x's negative. So if I have a minus a -4, that means it's now going to be positive. A minus a -2 is now going to be positive. 0 is not going to change. The +2 is going to become a -2, a -3, and a -5. So now I have all of these new points that we can plot. So again, now my point is at +4 and -2. At +2 and -2. At 0 and -5. At -2 and +3. -3 and +3. And -5 and 0. So connect the dots. And you'll notice that now the reflection has been horizontal. So it's a left and right flip. And let's also label our invariant point. So this time the invariant point is at point C, because that's the point that did not change when we reflected it, and it was lying on the line of reflection. So I'd like you to try this next one on your own, please. You're going to reflect this line both vertically and horizontally. So your graph should look something like this after you reflect the y's and then reflect the x's. Again, the green graph here is going to be when you reflect the y's, and the red graph here is when you make your x's negative. You can then try the assignment at the bottom of the page.